Children, young people at secondary school now will not do all their learning in the school. They'll go to college for part, it's quite common to go to college for part of your curriculum, to go to a different school for part of your curriculum. And what I find exciting is the mix of the virtual environment and the real environment, because that gives us all sorts of opportunities. Again, I can walk out there, I can call up a particular programme and it will tell me about the building I'm looking at. And I can hear that in audio, I can look at pictures, and I can read stories of people who have already visited that place. So embedded in our environment now, we can put lots of social history. We can have, for example, in the Scottish Parliament, we can have the stories from all the children, generation after generation, who have visited this building. And they can be available to us just by calling up a programme on a handheld device. So the environment itself, learning becomes embedded in that environment, and there's no distinction between the real and the physical environment in that sense. And if you just go on to some of the common websites that you get just now, like YouTube, you will find here, I just got one at random. This is the story of Tam O'Shanter, done in grommet style, in plasticine, and frame by frame by children in a primary school, primary 6-7 project. And there they've got Tam O'Shanter writing through the story, and they've created the whole thing themselves. And you can see that digital animation. What do they do that after they've studied the poem and done the digital? They stick it on YouTube for children all over the world to appreciate as well. You can log on to iTunes. On the left-hand side, you'll find a menu called iTunes U, standing for iTunes University. And on that, you will find lectures from the top universities in the world: Oxford, Cambridge, Open University, Stanford, you name it. There's a K-12 or secondary education section in that. And what you will find there, for example, is all the digital resources that have been produced in Scotland. There's something like 500 short digital movies on iTunes available to the world, produced in Scotland, and people all over the world looking at them and using them. So we are celebrating that, and it takes us right out of the environment, and we've put that on the web so that the world can see it. Equally, looking at it in the other way, people all over the world are looking into classrooms in Scotland. So the relationship between your physical environment and that virtual environment, again, breaking down. Probably the designers and architects here will be getting fed up looking at lists of things that you have to consider when designing, and I thought, well, I might as well add my own list. So there's a few things that I would chip in. One of the things, and interestingly, Alec was talking about the quality of light, and I remember being in one particular school, a primary school, where the children were, the technical term was climbing the walls. Just, they weren't terribly well behaved. Looking round the room, there were these sideways gun slits, near the ceiling, and that was all. The rest was, concrete or brick, and the children couldn't see the sky, couldn't see out. And when I was asking about what kind of design that was, I was told it was random fenestration, which means stick the windows anywhere as long as the children can't see out. So that's probably an example of not terribly good design in that sense. Our challenge in Scotland in everything we do, we say publicly all the time that we have got a good education system, and it's been borne out by international visits. And our challenge, both in our education system and our approach to designing new schools and to redesigning old schools, is to go from good to great, and that's our drive. And to me, ultimately, what that is about is not asking what the learning space looks like, but asking more about what does it feel like and what does it enable me to do as a learner. How does it enable me to show that I can do all the things I can do? How does it enable me to dream my dreams? But not only that, not just to aspire to things, but actually to achieve them. And ultimately, that's about asking the best for our young people and asking how good can you be. Thank you very much for listening.
Here started at our century. So if we had a white sheet of paper, what do we do? What is a school? And I always remember famous architect called Louis Kahn, who I worked with in the States. He said, of course, what a classroom is just a tree. Very important. The tree you sit under, and of course that is exactly what the African school is, the most primitive school. So however basic it gets, we come back to actually the need to represent the idea. And I think what was so brilliant about what Alex showed us was the idea of representation. How do you show meaning? And that's what, of course, design can do. That sense of telling the story. When we're assessing what we're looking at, I'd like to suggest there's 3 E's we talk about. Efficiency, quite easy to measure, which is all about driving down cost, using less, and all the things we hear endless things about. Effectiveness, which is actually how do we begin to use our buildings to perform more effectively, to be able to start teaching. And the last one, the hardest to measure, and probably the one with the greatest impact, is expression or experience. That's the one which is difficult to get your mind around, and what this evening has been about. Both of them have heard Frank talking about actually what is the meaning of education, and Alex talking about expression. What his building was trying to say. It's doing 2 things in the way that we had Keir talking, which is saying about the 100-year-old school, which told you what your values were. But increasingly also, it's expressing ideas. It's a mode of actually transmitting ideas, therefore it's a teaching mechanism in its own right. The building can, in fact, become something which is continually part of the teaching process. We also heard from Frank, though, actually, that we're moving towards where it's both the virtual and the physical, and the school itself is breaking out of the constraints of the building, where, in fact, the landscape of learning is, in fact, our total community. We actually might even go back into the places we work as a place for learning, and we're coming to our places where we're learning as a part of work. So all that blurring is really happening now, and I think makes it quite exciting. So I'd like to open up to the audience to come back to this, actually, with a quite important question. And that is, we've heard some wonderfully aspirational things, and I loved, actually, Alex, because what Alex was doing was he wasn't egotistical. He wasn't concerned with building a new building. 9 years, 130 board meetings, and I don't know what, it was something like 30-something phases. It was about actually a continuous process. It was a fantastic idea there, which is actually the whole thing is not about building great one-off bang-offs, but you know, it was a kind of gradual thing. If that is what it's about, then actually the question is, if we've got these aspirations which we've heard about, have we actually got the attitudes and processes and vision to support those? That is perhaps what we're going to end up in voting for at the end. We've heard some things. Do we have the ability amongst all of us to achieve it? Let's open it up. Who would like to start us away?